Good evening, everybody. Wednesday, the 10th of August, episode 78 of So What's Been Happening. There's been a lot happening, actually. Funny you should ask. Footy, heating up. Round 22 we're up to. It's all happening. Jesus, I've never seen a more open season in the last 5 to 10 years, I reckon. It's an exciting finish to the year and should be a super hot final series. And everyone that thought Melbourne were a certainty to go through and waltz through another one, boy, has that changed quickly. The Cats have fired to the top and looking pretty strong, unbeaten at the moment. I think it's 10 or 11 on the trot for them as well. I think it's 10. So the Pies, they're at 10 as well. I think they're at 11 too now, wins on the trot. So, geez, talk about tune up early, too early maybe. Who know? We'll find out shortly. But a couple of good friends and guests on the show today. But what we're going to do is we're going to quickly start with a few stars of both stage, music, sports that we've lost in the last pretty much since we've done our last podcast. Here we are.
We had a simple life, doesn't seem so long ago. We'd lay all day in your share house bed, precious hours rolling slow. How time flies, some things slip away, some things get complicated, some memories fade, some people move along, some are here to stay. If I could go back, I wouldn't change, skip and school, and like some we share the ride forever and ever.
Apologies, a couple of little blips in that presentation for some reason, but anyway, we got there in the end. So Johnny Famechon, one of our Australia's greatest ever boxers, and just did so much in the world of proving that once you can have an injury from an accident, you can really battle on and prove to be such a hero. Judith Durham, one of musical superstar, absolutely from she's the Seeker, sorry. And then we've got Olivia Newton-John, who just passed away in the last 24 hours. Did so much for music, so much for acting and pop culture with Grease and a few others. Never forget the video Physical. All the boys will remember that growing up for sure. And then the Australian Aussie Indigenous icon Archie Roach. So it's been a big couple of weeks, that's for sure. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to bring up both Lovey and Juzzy and just have a quick chat about what's been happening in their world in the last couple of weeks or so. G'day, Lovey. How are you, mate?
Mate, there you go.
Yeah, very good. Bit of a bummer that Little Tributes had a bit of a pause there and played up. It was nice, and behind it was a track from a good friend of ours, Ryan Sterling. So I just want to highlight that as well. So
very familiar voice to us all, that one.
Absolutely. And a good other mate of ours and fellow cat man, Justin Hurricane Nunn. How are you, Juzzy?
I'm good, thanks, AC, mate. Travelling well.
Welcome back, mate. Welcome back.
Nice to be on. Nice talking to you as always, mate.
All right, Lovey, let's kick off with you, mate. How's your last couple of weeks been? I've been kind of off the record, away on a holiday and work, and that's kept me busy. So that's the reason we kind of haven't all got together. But tell us a little bit about how you've been, mate. How you feeling? What's up?
I don't know. You said you combined your holiday and you said work. I don't know. I didn't see too much work as a part of the pictures that I saw the last few weeks on socials, mate. But very envious, but I think very well deserved, you and Sautel, mate. I think in the family, I think it's really nice to do something like that, and I hope you really thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah, for me, not much. I think it's just the middle of the winter months, and you sort of get into your routines of work, home, or whatever, and then if you've got a hobby or a sport, you go to that, you get home. I think there's not much else you can do. I was saying to a friend of mine the other day, can't wait for the bloody sun to come out a bit more in the next month or so. I think that's what's probably what's lacking for me right now. So yeah, to be honest, it hasn't been that active. And when you weigh up to that you're an Essendon supporter, there hasn't been much to look forward to on a weekend basis there. The Red Sox have fallen in an absolute hole. Tottenham have started well after the last weekend in the EPL, but that's only 1 week in. So hopefully that gets up and running. But no, just work, mate. I think it's just work this time of year, like most people.
Yep. And Juzzy, for you, the Cats are up and firing, mate. You must be excited.
Mate, the Cats are just keeping me going. That's what's keeping me going. So I can't believe it's round 22, though. I'm going to miss footy. Oh.
Yeah, it's I think it's really flown this season. And obviously the first 10 or 11 weeks flew for me as a Melbourne supporter. We were up and going, and everything was travelling along beautifully. And then a few little hiccups here and there along the way, and all of a sudden we're at round 22 and a little bit nervous around finals time. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But it's good to have you back.
Mate, I'm in the construction game. So that COVID word is just because of COVID now, people have lost the ability to we can't get trades. You just can't. So because of COVID, they don't have to communicate or ring you or use manners or be polite. I know I've got COVID, so it's like it's just gone crazy.
Become the worldwide.
Yeah.
Got a little segment on manners coming up later, Justin. So,
Lovey, it's just I can't understand what COVID's got to do with. Yeah, we'll be there Wednesday. We'll start the job Wednesday. Wednesday comes and goes, and a week goes by. Another week goes by, and like everyone's 4 weeks late. I get that, but it's tell you what, it's a challenge at the moment. Yeah.
They just didn't tell you which Wednesday, Juzzy.
Yeah, and you don't mind the delay, but I don't understand. You got COVID, had to have a week off, so we're now 5 weeks behind. I will be there in 5 weeks' time.
Yeah, it's you're 100% right. Communication's a massive thing at the moment, and I can tell you just a little quick snippet of my travelling trip. I'll tell you the only frustration I had on the entire trip was in relation to planes and communication and lack of communication in relation to delays, what was actually happening when they knew what was happening but just wouldn't pass on information. And then you hear a whisper that your bags are going to be late. No communication of when, other than they're running a little behind. Hour and a half, we're still standing once we'd landed in Melbourne, finally in Melbourne on next to the baggage carousel, and no bags for an hour and a half standing there. Just terrible. And that's the first impression people have when they walk back into Melbourne now. And as we know, some people, it's their first time into Melbourne. But this isn't just Melbourne. This is everywhere. So my words of advice is don't give up on your dream and get out there and travel. You're going to have to be patient. So
it's become the norm, and everyone's just accepted it. It's like,
which is just horrific in its own sense. I mean, why have we accepted that sort of shit standard? Yeah. I don't. I don't get it. I don't understand. I feel like, like you say, petrol, service standards at the airport. So many people probably, first world issues. Well, you know what? I mean, it stresses people out when that sort of stuff's happening. And when you start accepting that those are the standards that we can stand next to or walk by, you do become quite lax in the way you go about life, and the same with businesses. And it's just not good enough. I mean, to say that that's the new norm, Justin, I probably agree with you. That's what people think now, but it just shouldn't be accepted, that sort of shit.
No.
Yep. And Robert Wine from Canada. Good morning to you, Robert. 6:30 in the morning, roughly.
Totally agree. I agree with him 100%.
And it's 100% right. It is everywhere, and it's become the weird excuse, sadly, which we want to see. We want to see changed, that mindset, I guess, and just the instant blame of the word COVID. It hasn't affected. It's affected a lot of things, but it's not the sole excuse of why people aren't doing what they should be doing, which is frustrating. So we'll let you tee off on that one a little bit later, Lovey, I'm sure. I'm going to run through now is just what we have a little segment where we run with the episode number and we find a few features around that number of what's happened over the years, or so in this case, 1978, what happened in 1978. Here we go.
I took off running, didn't look back. I skimmed my knee on a dirt track. I kept on going though my chest hurt. Around the corner near the big tree, I hid where no one could find me. In losing war it seemed a victory. There's a freedom when you're running. Feel the wind, it could carry you away. It's like you're flying away from the things you know that you can't change. Sometimes everybody gotta get a good getaway. The grass was whipping at my bare legs. It might have been a snake, I didn't care less. I flew over logs and the creek bed. I could hear those voices calling. I knew all those boys were searching. I'd never let them see me crying.
One of the weird things I noticed out of that video when I was putting it together is, what's the chances that Grease comes out in 1978, Olivia Newton-John dies this week on the week we're doing our 78th podcast? It's just some weird tie-in for sure. But I thought that was kind of weirdly cool.
I find it sad that it was that long ago, that movie.
Absolutely. And so relevant to so many generations now. I love it. I mean, you couldn't turn the TV on last night without Olivia Newton-John on one of the channels, or free-to-air channel anyway.
My daughter's 19 and she loves it. So it's one of her most favourite movies. So it's certainly gone through generations and it's still popular for a lot of the teens.
Yeah. And song or album of the year, Saturday Night Fever.
Was it really?
Absolutely. Album of the year, 78. And Big Star had Song of the Year in 1978. So there you go. There's one of Berkey's favourite bands of all time. So
I reckon, I know Cuz is missing. Do you reckon he would have been in his early 20s by 1978? You think he would have had the old black pleather pants out, or the white ones? It was white back then, wasn't it? The white leather pants that were tight as a
there was
vicious
a lot of
bum. It was. Yeah,
how old
really
were you
weird
boys
things.
in 1978?
I was 3.
I was 5.
There you go. 2, 3, and 5. So, and then here's Cuz in 1978. So, right in the middle. He's a couple of years on us, Cuz. Shout out to Cuz, obviously late scratching And just to mention, that was another. I just used another one of. We try to push as much as possible our friends and local artists, and that song that we just used was a song from Ryan Sterling again called "Running" on his latest album he's just released. This one right here called "Specks of Golden Dust." Speaking of little redheads, there's a beauty. So we look forward to. He's had an album launch while I was away, and it sold out straight away, which is fantastic. So he's trying to put together another one. Few restrictions around, trying to get venues and stuff at the moment, as we all know, panicking with COVID again through winter. So hopefully that can happen pretty soon.
Very good.
Absolutely.
He's got a bit of Ed about him, hasn't he? Ed Sheeran. He's almost a young Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, I think he'd take that too.
What's between Ed Sheeran and Hermione Granger?
Incredibly, Ryan Sterling is a local artist who pretty much was going to give music away at one stage, and he's released 20 odd plus albums. Just a guy that just writes and writes and writes content and releases lots of albums, and still is the kind of guy that doesn't rate himself as a good musician or an artist.
Got a beautiful voice.
He's a super guitar player, to be honest. And if you get along, make sure you get along to see him at one of our next gigs. So we'll let you know when all that's going to happen. But one thing that is going to happen is a girl that we had on show, I reckon it was around show 65, which was a little while ago now, called Mosey. Zoe Marshall has got a launch of a new single tomorrow night at a place called the Colour Club. Never been there. It's sounding a bit culture club for me, but who knows if you can get along and see her. She's unbelievable. She was at St Andrew's Community Centre that Berkey had organised, just gone on Sunday. So I flew home from Vietnam. Was dog tired, but I couldn't miss it. So I got there, spent an hour with her, and she was just unbelievable. Literally blew the roof off the joint. So
I saw the socials as, and I've never seen a small room look even smaller based upon her voice. She needed a proper stadium.
Oh, it was incredible. Like, I literally had to go and stand as far back as I could just to absorb as much of her voice as I could, and I still wasn't far enough. She was just incredible. So what a powerful voice, and look forward to her. She's going to be a star for sure. She's just got to believe in herself, more importantly. And just a shout out to Gooch in Canada as well. Great to see us back. Gooch, we are back. It's a shame you're not going to be here in the next month or so. All right. Lovey, is it time?
Yeah, go on.
Righto, let's do it.
What's gonna make our friend Lovey mad today? Lovey loses it. Lovey loses it. Lovey loses it. Yeah.
One thing that does is make us all chuckle and smile, and that's a beautiful thing on days when it's not all travelling perfect. To hear
that will never get old. That'll never get old.
The great Dave Cosmo.
Is this sort of like the volcano? Is it? This is like Kane's volcano, is it?
Yeah, except mine comes from the heart. It's a bit more legitimate than Kane's. I've actually changed tack a little bit too. I'm going to split it in half a little bit. It's going to be short, but I'm going to split it in half. Don't want to be typecast, and I think you mentioned it to me off record the other day. So what is Lovey loving at the moment will be the first bit. So I will, I can be a happy man. And it's, for years, I've known I'm not the most prettiest bloke in the world, far from it. And one of the things that hasn't helped with that over time has been the old receding hairline, to the point where, it's your forehead is almost finishing at the top of your neck. So I battle with it over time. But you know what? I've decided, I have been cutting it right back, and I'm going to skin it for the rest of my life now. There's no chance. People have been telling me, why don't you try these different little hair things and, put plugs and shit in. And I went, no, you know what? I'm going to embrace it. And I always get told you've got to love the skin you're in. So there it is. That's going to stay there for the rest of my life. So there we go.
Fresh.
There's fresh. It's a good one. And homemade. I don't go to the barber. Just get the razor out and just give it the old slide up and back. But
back to front.
back to front. Yeah, and I have to change arms because if you do that, you sort of you probably cut your ear off. So love the skin you're in is my message there.
No little no little Norman Gunstons.
No, you know what? I've never ever drawn blood shaving in my life.
Oh, good effort.
I have yet to draw blood.
I got about 6 hairs and I'm still drawing blood occasionally. So don't worry.
Yeah. Am I going to lose it? Well, I think it's a bit of an education session, this one. So I'm not going to lose it, but I'm very. And this is to do with all sorts of things, social media and all the rest of it, and people being influencers and things like that. And I get that people want to become influencers and try and put on great fitness regimes or their wonderful diet regimes, and it's now gotten into the thing that pisses me off about it is that so many of these people aren't really qualified to actually talk about the shit they do. The concerning thing is many people get sucked in. The same thing, unfortunately, for me, and this is where I get a bit serious with this, the same thing, unfortunately, for me, from what I've seen and from what I've experienced through other people, is that some people try and be influencers, or some people pretend they can actually talk about mental health. And they provide stupid 6-week sessions or 6 sessions for X amount of money. And they'll jump on and they'll ask you some really stupid shit Dorothy Dixer questions without really getting into what might be troubling a person or what might actually be wrong with that person. So there's that aspect to it, and that can cause angst because they never get to a point where they're improving or they're getting better. These people just get away with that sort of stuff, and it's just disheartening. I've had a friend of mine who wanted to jump on a Get Better program for himself and spent $800. And all he got was angst over his bank account and all sorts of stuff. It was actually just disgusting. I'm not going to name companies because I don't think you can pay for the potential civil action that might come against the show after, Aaron. But that sort of stuff is concerning me. But what concerns me when it gets back to Justin, what we're talking about, not just manners, but having standards. We don't research anymore. People have become a bit lazy and they just don't want to do the research on something they want to invest in. And your mental health is probably the most important thing you can invest in right now. And if you don't do the work and actually look into the background of the people you want to go and talk to, buyer beware. That's all I can say on that. There's a lot of shysters and assholes out there. You just got to be careful on who you actually want to go and talk to. We always encourage it and we always should, but just be careful who you approach on that sort of stuff. I think you've got to go to a trusted friend initially and talk to people, look them up. Don't just go Google search, find the third one or second one from the top and go, yeah, I'm going to go talk to them and put money over the counter. Just don't do it. Do the research. Like you would with your diet, like you would with your exercising. Do the research. Let's stop being so lazy on that and help ourselves. That's it.
Good point.
That wasn't losing it. Well, I feel a bit redder around here now. I could have gone very hard, but no, I'll leave it at that.
It's good advice.
No, it's very good advice.
And shiny at the same time. It's good advice and shiny.
Yeah.
As the crab says in Moana, shiny.
I think I'm out doing the light globe above me, mate.
That's perfect stage lighting for me, mate. All right.
Yeah, I'm just, yeah.
Yep, no, absolutely. Some great advice there, and you're 100% right. Mental health is
especially at the moment
top of mind, and it should be for everyone. So let's all start with one thing that we usually commit to, and Gooch, good friend of ours, has taught me this one: is do me a favor tomorrow and just ring 5 mates or 5 people you haven't spoken to in a month, and just ask them one question: how they're going. Not necessarily are you okay, and that's enough, because that's the first question that's expected to be asked. But just ask them actually what is going on. How are they feeling? What's happening? Because
what have you been doing?
there's a lot of things that are happening now where people just expect everything's back to normal, and it's just not. and it's so frustrating. And there's so much expectation around that, like you spoke about, that Instagram component. Oh, look here he's on a holiday. He's having a great time. Look at me. I'm working, like a dog, right? Now, there's so much around that. It's not all what it's cracked up to be, right? Whether it's work, play, whatever. I think it's support is the biggest key word that I can kind of use is you never know what's happening behind anyone's closed doors, and just to ring up and say good day, or a lot more than a text message these days. Just pick up the phone and actually hear a voice. You can gauge a lot more reaction. So I urge all of us and anyone listening and watching later on to, doesn't matter when it is, but the day after you read or hear or watch this, just do it and see what reaction you get. So there we go. All right, what we're going to do before we go any further is we're going to play a little clip of an exciting upcoming event on Tuesday, the 16th of August. It's a Tribute Tuesday special. Let's get this underway.
Here is Elvis.
Elvis, 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 Elvis. Elvis, 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 Elvis. Elvis, 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 Elvis. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do.
Elvis has left the building.
Oh, how good. I had to title this episode "A Little More Action, Please." But with a little less conversation, Dave Cosmo is just one of the greatest, I can tell you. So let's bring him up. Here he is, the great EP.
Las Vegas. Sorry, boys. I didn't realise you were there.
How are you, Davey?
What's going on?
Great to see you, mate. Great to see you.
Nice to be
That video
back.
clip was amazing.
Thank you, mate.
That
It's an
video clip
oldie.
was amazing.
I've used that a few times. I've used that a few times over the last few years, but it always it's nice to get a run again.
Good to see you got the 70s Rockstar Sunnies going too, mate. Very good.
Yeah.
Oh, they're the Elvis Sunnies, mate.
Yeah.
They're the
They're
Elvis Sunnies.
Dave, did you enjoy the new? Did you enjoy the new movie?
Justin, how are you? Yeah, it's a bloody beauty. It really is.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. I didn't see it until about, I reckon, 3 weeks it had been out, and a lot of people had contacted me over the time, and I finally got in there and saw it, and yeah, it blew me away. It exceeded all my expectations and delivered on every level and more, and I was in tears, and it was just, yeah, it was brilliant. I think even if you're not an Elvis fan, you'd get something out of it. But in terms of being an Elvis fan, and I like to think that I'm one of those Elvis fans that digs a little bit deeper than just, yeah, he's the greatest entertainer or whatever. He had his flaws, but it just delivered on every level. You know, they touched on all the things they needed to touch on, and especially those early years and how he was influenced by African American music of, you know, gospel in particular. Yeah, and it just took you through his whole life, and it just had that Baz Luhrmann. You know, there's been a couple of biopics over the last couple of years with Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocket Man, and they're both great movies. This is that, and with that Baz Luhrmann flair, you know, like overlay of graphics and text and all these sort of sub things going on, color, pizzazz. And it's really well acted, and you know, it was done mostly here in this country, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a great film.
I absolutely loved it. Has everyone seen it?
Yeah, it came out on Amazon Prime as well yesterday.
Okay, beautiful.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
watched
right,
it
there you go.
today again.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I
Curious
look forward to
child,
watching. I look forward to watching it again and getting, like I know some serious Elvis fans who have seen it a couple of times and they're like, you see it the second time and you pick up on different things. So, yeah, I look forward to seeing it again. But it's a big tick from me. Yeah, can't recommend it highly enough.
It was great how it came from Colonel Tom Parker's perspective too.
Yeah, it was good for that. It was from that perspective, but it didn't lose anything in terms of his life story. That narrative of Colonel Tom Parker took nothing away from everything that happened in Elvis's life, and it started from when he was born to when he died. And they covered, it's
42,
many years.
Too young.
Yeah, but it's many years to cover too in 3 hours. So they did a really good job, I thought, of doing that. And he did a great job.
I haven't seen it. Is it? It's not cliched, is it? So it's not.
It's brilliant.
No, not at all. It really isn't. No. And there's been a couple of ones done over the years, and obviously a lot of documentaries. But this just, it's for the times, and it's the soundtrack is really great. Couple of Aussie actors in there. The actress that plays Elvis's mum and the young kid that plays Elvis are both Australian actors, so that's really cool. And Austin Butler just did a really great job. He really embodied Elvis and nailed it. And, the scenes that they really focused on, which I'm really familiar with and have studied myself, just flawless. Like, it's reminiscent of that Freddie Mercury Bohemian Rhapsody at the end, the Live Aid, like he nailed that actor nailed that scene and got every nuance and every bit spot on. And Austin Butler does it throughout the movie. It's really good.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. And just that you touched on the 3 hour, like I not once did I sit there and think, oh God,
It
did
flew.
you obviously
Yeah.
that's a sign of an absolute great movie. Not once did I sit there and think, geez, I'm gonna spin out, so what am I going to do? Got to go to the toilet. It was just fantastic. So I really recommend everyone. You're 100% right, Dave. I don't think it is a one watcher, even though as good as it was, there'll be so much more to pick up that second and third and fourth time, and really look forward to it. And Juzzy, I know you've got a little bit of background or family background in with Elvis, mate. Tell me a little bit about that.
So Dad's a performer. He did the floor shows at the Swagman day and night for 20 years.
Wow.
And his uncle was Matt Flinders, had a show on the ABC. But so Dad's voice is Elvis. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like you just wouldn't wouldn't pick it. He actually knows a few people that played in Elvis's band, have contacted Dad.
Wow.
He's a performer. Doesn't like doing it a lot now, but he's done shows all over Australia. So
wow, that's really cool.
Yeah,
was he doing that late 70s, early 80s at the Swagman?
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
My dad, because mate, the Swagman was the bee's knees in the eastern suburbs back then, right? For the Sunday afternoon sippers, and I reckon my dad's mentioned like the Elvis guy from the Swagman a couple of times, so it might have been.
Mate, he's actually got some film clips on the net. That's his voice, but Elvis in the film clip, and people haven't picked it.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
You have to make sure you find a few of them and drop them in the comments of the YouTube that stays online of this, does he? And Dave's going to do a nice little review for us and on a little critique, so to speak.
You will not believe that it's him.
I'll bloody tell you whether I reckon I can pick it or not. I'll let you know. Don't worry, mate.
Mr. Rivers, Gary Rivers is his name. That's
Gary Rivers. All right, I'm going to write that down. Gary Rivers.
Gary Rivers. If you just YouTube that name and Elvis,
bloody oath,
you will be surprised.
And speaking of,
what if he's got you covered, Dave? Then what?
Well, he would have me covered because I don't ever imitate or try and sing like Elvis at all.
Yeah, that's Dad's thing. Dad actually is not one for the tribute artist type thing. He loves Elvis that much.
Yeah. I've with all due respect, it's never been something that the part of the Elvis story, the impersonators and that sort of thing, do nothing for me. I created this theatre show with Damon Smith, as you know, which pays homage to Sun Records and includes all the early artists of Sun Records, which includes Elvis. But when we perform Elvis and all the other artists, including Johnny Cash and Jerry Lee Lewis, we don't imitate or try and sound like them. We do their versions of the song, but we do it our way. But I take nothing away from it because it's people love it. There's not a million Elvis impersonators because there's not work for them. People love it. And speaking of our connection of Parade, John, is it John Gatto? Is that his name? John Gatto? Is it John Gatto? John. Anyway, yeah, he's doing the he's right up there at the moment doing he's making a living singing like Elvis. So the demand's there for it. Bloody Gary Rivers, I'm going to have a check it out.
Mate, Dave, you will not believe it.
I look forward to it.
He doesn't want to do it unless he can do it with the big band.
Okay, I'll tell you what. We might even finish the show with a little clip of it tonight. We'll
Gary
dig it up.
Rivers, Gary Rivers, Elvis artist, and he doesn't want to do it unless he can have all the backup singers and the 30-piece band.
Yeah, fair enough.
He's very good.
Yeah, I like it. It's a good show name. Gary Rivers. It's brilliant.
Gary Rivers, yeah.
There you go. Well, here's a man that does it one up and with a little accompaniment, no doubt, I'm sure, for Tuesday night. Tuesday night coming up, Tribute Tuesday at the Drunken Poet. Dave Cosma performing the songs of the great Elvis Presley. Give us a little bit about the show, Dave. What can we expect?
Well, firstly, the Poet. I mean, it's just a ripping little place, and I've played there. I can't tell you how many times over the last probably 20 years. And they've been doing a Tribute Tuesday for a long time, and I've done a couple down there, and I've done Elvis there before, and they've always been really good nights. So, coinciding with his anniversary on the 16th, which will be 45 years, I think, 45 years. Since his passing, which is just insane. We're going down to the Drunken Poet Tribute Tuesday, doing an hour of Elvis songs. Not going to try and sound like the King, like the Mr. Bloody Rivers, but I'm going to give it a crack. I do the odd show, tipping the hat to Elvis, so it's going to be a good night. Yeah,
one thing I remember.
Go.
But one thing I remember during the COVID lockdown era was one of your little Elvis tributes nights.
I did.
I did, mate. I absolutely loved it. And to sit in that little room that you're sitting in now and perform songs from the King, everyone loved it. Absolutely loved it. So I've been lucky enough to know you since school, Dave, and I'll never forget you were a young Elvis then, mate, when you used to play the left-hand guitar and just love it, mate. So keep it going, mate. You're keeping it. It's so nice that the movies come out and we can refresh these loves of Elvis and chat.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of an Elvis buzz at the moment, so why not? And the Drunken Poet's a great venue, and Elvis has got a bunch of really cool songs, and people dig it. So rock and roll, baby.
Dave, I've actually got pieces of Elvis's shirt.
Go on.
Yeah, I've got pieces of his shirt. His worn shirt.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
Put that up for auction.
Dave, I was just going to say before, can you do me a favour? The money you get from this tribute show, I'm really concerned about your lawnmower. That was the only other thing I picked up on in that whole video clip. The smoke that was pissing out of that lawnmower, mate. Can you,
two-stroke,
for your suburbs environmental impact, can you just maybe go get that service or grab a newie? I reckon that's
old footage, mate. Old footage. It's been fixed.
Probably due. Get an EV. Get an electric vehicle lawnmower.
Yeah, fair call.
What about the cameraman, mate, or camera woman? Who was behind the scenes there filming that for you?
That was my wife. That Elvis clip, yeah, that would have been my wife.
It was beautiful. I love it, mate. The extreme close up during the shave.
Yeah,
I'd love to see some of the outtakes. I reckon they'd be absolutely hilarious. The ones that
it was fun and interesting walking around Safeway trying to get a couple of little scenes happening and people going, what's this bloke doing? Seriously.
I bet. So these days it wouldn't even turn a head.
No, I know, true.
Yeah. Crazy times. Well, there it is. Thursday. It's going to be Tuesday. Tuesday. Next Tuesday.
Yeah. Thanks, mate.
Very exciting. Just
Be good
before
fun.
Tuesday, obviously I mentioned Mosey tomorrow night, and then Even, one of the greats with Ash Naylor.
Bloody beauty.
At the Evelyn, kick it off. Great to see Ash finally got the album pressed onto vinyl, double album. So go to all good music stores. So you know the story.
Sorry, Dave, just quickly, your gig, mate. Are the tickets online or just go to the door?
Oh, it's a free, mate. Melbourne, welcome to Melbourne. Come down, free. It's just go in there. Should be a few people down there. It's going to be a good night.
Yeah.
Pack it out. The coldest Guinness in Melbourne, I guarantee you.
Oh, yeah.
Name. It's a super little bar.
She runs a tight ship.
If you don't know where to go, it's not far off where the old donut van is from the old Spanish donut van at Vic Market. Across the road, and that's about where you are.
65.
I think we know.
5 Peel Street.
I think we know where the Drunken Poet is. I think we've touched it once or twice.
You might end up the Drunken Poet on Tuesday night. So let's see.
Couple of special guests, couple little surprises.
Awesome. Fantastic. All right. Let's flick to a little bit of sport, hey? But just before we do, I want to touch on and get this in early enough. Monday night, I got a special guest, and it's a special show that I've been teeing up, and we've been trying to find a time during COVID and all sorts of things been happening, but I've got her just before she starts another tour. Americana country girl, Katie Bates. She's an absolute star. So she plays in also Ben Mastwick's band, who we've had on before. And Katie's a star in her own right. So if you can tune in on this Monday night, if not, you can catch it later. All right. Here we are, round 22, boys. That's an exciting time. Will the Demons get there? Will the Cats continue? Can the Pies continue? Can the Bombers win one? There we go.
Footy's boring. That's it.
Well, I'm usually away at this time. I went away early this year, just got it done, and then we'll see what happens for the finals. But, I mean, just touching on Melbourne, there was a lot of talk early that it was just, you'll get there, don't worry. It's just about who you play in the final now. Now I'm absolutely not so sure. And the old Melbourne starts to creep in, or Melbourne, back or as a supporter starts to creep in, or the element of doubt again. So I think it's the Cats to lose, personally.
Look, the bonus you'll get week one of the final certainly is that you won't leave Victoria. Yep. I think it's safe to say that you'll be in Victoria. I don't think Sydney will get any higher than third at best anyway. So that helps you. But if I'm a Geelong supporter, and look, Justin can talk to this better than anyone, you've been there and done that in this position now in the last 10 years at least 3 to 4 times. You've dominated the home and away. You're finishing top 2. You just can't get it done. If I was a Geelong fan, I'd almost be saying, can we just fast forward to the prelims and the grand final and just right so many wrongs in the last 6, 7, 8 years? I think I remember when I was a little kid, and Geelong made all those prelims in the late 70s, early 80s. They had I think they had 3 prelims in a row, and they couldn't crack one. And it feels a bit like that for the last 6, 7 years for them, for me. If I was in Geelong's shoes, I don't think it's Geelong's to lose. I still think there's no reason why Collingwood couldn't bloody win it. I mean, that'd be tragic, but I mean the way they're going, form's key. And it gets back to that old adage: if you finish in the top 4, they're the only 4 that can win it for me this year. I can't see any of Freo, a Richmond or anything like that winning it. I just can't. It's not a Bulldog type of year this year for me. I think that the 4 teams in it this year right now in the top 4 are the ones. That's it.
Yep. Interesting point. Interesting summary. Let's quickly go to the games and we'll whip through them. All right. St Kilda, Brisbane at Marvel Friday night.
Brisbane to finish and come off well and truly.
Yep. Brisbane need this one.
Sure,
Definitely need this one. So, does anyone think St Kilda have got a chance here?
Yeah, at Marvel, I do. Yeah. They need to win. They can still make the 8. And the thing with St Kilda is the gap between their good and their bad's just so vast. But their good at Marvel is good.
Yep.
So, and Brisbane don't travel well. Brisbane's form in Melbourne isn't that good.
Well, that's why I know they won't win the premiership until they change that around.
Yeah.
Righto. Let's go quickly. Margins. Dave.
Brisbane 20.
Lovey.
Brisbane 37.
Jazzy.
St Kilda 5.
Ooh, close one.
And I'm going the real close one. I'm tipping a draw. There you go.
Yeah, I
Let's
think
get in
it's
early.
game on.
Hey, is that your token drawn game each week you've been giving us for the whole year?
Absolutely. Well, we got one. We got one eventually, didn't we?
Yeah, and nearly had a few lately.
We have. It's been very even. All right, we move to Saturday. Western Bulldogs and the Giants at Marvel. Straight up. 2 games back-to-back at Marvel.
I saw the Giants play last week against Essendon. Didn't like it. For the Bulldogs, fair income, they win this by about 8 goals.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Agreed.
Hard to argue, mate. We'll all take that. So, yeah, I think if it's under 6 goals, it'll be disappointing from the Doggies. So, they got to tune up if they want to be serious about getting there. So let's see. We all tip the Doggies rough margins, 8-10. All right, Adelaide and North. Did we bother playing this one, or this is 2:10 time slot on a Saturday, and we've got Adelaide and North.
Worst part is you got to pay. You got to pay match payments for this game. Yeah, I reckon Adelaide by about again could be 8 goals. They bounced back well against the Eagles away. I know we're scraping barrels there, but Adelaide should win by 8 goals for this one. Tex will kick 7. There you go.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think Tex has got a bit of a statement to make, to be honest, after a big upheaval week or 2 weeks in relation to the famous camp. Infamous, sadly, terrible camp. We talk about, how life's changed. God, you'd hope it's changed a lot since those days.
I was actually shaken. Actually shaken when I was hearing Eddie Betts, Josh talk about it, and even Bryce Gibbs after the fact. The other day, you just. And then I put myself in a club, in a footy club, and I go, which fuckwit actually agreed that this was going to be a good thing? And it turns out their whole board ticked off on it. Even after it, thought, well, there's nothing wrong with this. This is great. It should work.
Well, the sad thing is, it was one game. It was one game. They were the best side all year.
Yeah.
And they lost to a powerhouse in Melbourne. The fall from grace is just huge, but it was one game.
It's a bit like your reputation, isn't it, Judgy? You can build it up for 6 months, you can rip it in 6 seconds, and they've done that to their culture. They built that culture so well in Adelaide up into the 2017 grand final, and then just within the space of weeks under this program, they've obviously just imploded internally, and they never recovered. I agree.
I think
how you treat people like that and their information and their personal stuff is the most despicable thing I've seen in sport in a long time.
Yeah, I think the most disappointing part that I saw out of it or can take out of it is, aside from all the personal feedback that we've heard from some of the is from the AFL Players Association that no one stood up and said, this is not on, guys, after the fact, and taking them to the cleaners on it. Like, it just got swept under the carpet. So I did that this morning, and you would have thought that's got to change. And I think
it will now.
I think it has to. It has to. Dangerfield kind of touched on it as current president of the Players Association, but people got to drive the change. It takes a brave person to speak up versus go the other way. So let's see what happens out of the result of that. You hope that camp kind of thing never happens again. And Melbourne got really shit canned once they had that pre-season camp, and blokes didn't want to do certain things, and they really got taken to task on it. So be fair to those guys, they actually stood up, and it was a very different scenario, but they stood up and said they weren't doing it. And they really got
And you know what? You've still got one or two of those blokes still playing there now, and Tom McDonald is one of them.
Yep, absolutely. All right, let's go to game 4. The Suns and the Cats. This is a big game. This is a big game.
Danger game.
As dangerous as it gets for the Cats right now.
Probably
Does
is.
it? Interested to hear from you first.
I think it's.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting. I mean, Geelong were 9 goals down against Collingwood, and we haven't lost a game since. But they've had a few patches where they've had 5 or 6 goals kicked in a row against them. I just don't know whether they seem to be taking the path where they're resting players, and they've been doing it the last 4 or 5 weeks. But the Suns have just come off a little bit. They just look like they've come off a little bit. Had they have still been in contention for the 8, I had this one earmarked as one that they might drop. But Geelong were getting pumped by Port Adelaide, and we came back and won that. The Bulldogs come out and kicked the first 5 goals a fortnight ago, came back. Geelong's very even all over the ground. And it's players like Holmes and Atkins and DeConning, Jack Henry, Guthrie. It's not even the named players. It's their bottom 6 that, I can't see them. And to be honest, I can't see them dropping a game for the rest of the year. Even with that pressure that you feel as a Geelong supporter, that you're almost going, I'm waiting for, a Martin to come along and kick 3 or 4 goals. I mean, if you take Martin out of the equation, the Cats probably have 2 flags in the last 3 or 4 years. And that's the truth.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, they were 40 points up or 30 points up in a grand final, and they were 42 points up in a prelim. And
you got dusty bombed.
Yeah.
You got dusty bombed in the second half.
Yeah. And I watched it over and over and over again, and I came away going, there was nothing you could do. There was nothing you could do. In fact, the guy that played on him played good games. So I just think that down back, mate, with Tom Stewart and DeConning and Jack Henry, I can't see a team kicking a score greater than what we'll kick up at the other end. I just can't.
Yeah, I think the only way to beat Geelong at the moment is kick over that defence quickly.
The only way, and Melbourne can do it in patches.
Yep.
Undoubtedly, Melbourne's an absolute awesome side. They just seem to. So I've watched Melbourne a bit of the last 3 or 4 weeks, and there's a bit of talking back to each other on the field, and a bit of blaming, and a bit of up forward, they're taking shots when guys are clearing by themselves. And so, I mean, they can turn that around. But unless they turn it around, I don't know. I don't know at the moment that the midfield's gelling with the forward line. And even if they do on their day, I don't know this year that, barring injuries, I think if Cameron stays fit, I had no idea how good Cameron was. And I watch a lot of footy, and I know a lot of footy, but in the blue and white hoops, he takes the ball in the back pocket, and then he's marking the ball on the lead for the same passage of play that he starts in the back pocket. And I don't know how he gets up there and then leads.
Yeah.
When he starts it, but he does.
Well, I still don't know how. I still don't know how you lose a bloke who stands at 6'4" with 100 kg, and you can actually lose him and allow him to go unchecked as he's getting up the ground. He's a freak. He just obviously has a massive tank, a great work rate, and
he runs and runs and runs. Yeah.
Yeah. Close as the other player. I've found that he's improved heaps for you over this year. Forward.
Mate, he's just incredible in the pace. He just runs and runs and runs and runs and runs. So him and Holmes and Atkins and these blokes, they're not names that people even know unless you barrack for us, you know. So that's the only thing. I've got a different feeling this year. Sam Adekoning, I think the biggest haul he's had kicked on him all year has been maybe 2 goals.
Yep.
Man, he is incredible.
Yeah, incredible. He's been the find of the find of the whole year amongst the comp. So, all right.
But it's finals, mate, and it's a different game. It's finals and it's a different game, and everyone knows that. Yes. And as a Geelong supporter, you're sort of going, you know, you're sort of waiting for it to happen because, you know, it's happened every year for the last 10 years.
Yep. The nervous cats. Righto. All right, here we go. We've got a few more games to get through here. All right, so we flick to Saturday night, Melbourne, Carlton. This is a big one. No Cripps.
If Cripps was playing, I'd tip Carlton, but I'm tipping Melbourne by 8 points.
Oh, close one.
Cozzy.
I'm thinking the D's, mate. I really am. I think no Cripps. They've been a bit disappointing, the Blues. I think the D's would be pretty desperate after a loss last week. So the D's. Yeah, they will be. A couple of goals at least.
The D's will be pretty hungry after dropping that one. They'll be filthy. They lost that one to Collingwood. And in saying that, they won't.
Not as filthy as the Bomber supporters were with that kick after the fucking siren.
Yeah, incredible that. Yeah, they were 2 of the games. There was another one I saw. The Richmond. I think it was a Richmond draw. Was it the first week? I was in Vietnam. Those 3 games. So just massive. And it's
watch
so
the
weird.
movie Billy. I can't watch the movie Billy Elliot ever again because of that shit game.
Mate, it was an unbelievable kick, though. You got to be fair to it.
Is it just me? And we're getting to Collingwood. But was there a collective? For me, it was a bit of a false. I'm a non-believer. I don't want to believe that Collingwood are actually there doing it right.
Drive me mental, but I see them up there now.
Here's my thing. I'm thinking the last 9 weeks before the last win, bit of a false economy, you know. They're winning games. It's all about the W. Don't get me wrong, but Geelong, for example, they win and they win well. They win with system, whereas Collingwood have been scrapping the win, a kick after the siren, you know, bit of a false economy. But when they beat Melbourne on the weekend, was it a collective? I think they're the real deal.
I subscribed last week to thinking if you put Collingwood up against Melbourne or Geelong in a finals pressure, then I think they wouldn't cope with it. But no, I disagree with that now. I think they would, and I genuinely think it's because they've got massive belief.
I thought that last year with Melbourne. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't trust them. I didn't want to believe it. It's Melbourne, and you know what? That finals performance they put in, they were the best side, and all the data was there, and all they did was go to the next standard up above that, and they were the best side, and they deserved their flag.
But they were winning. Weren't they winning better than Collingwood have been winning the last couple of months? Don't you think?
Yeah.
Have you been really convinced that Collingwood are an amazing team, or
because they don't have an Oliver or a Clark or a Viney.
You know what I mean?
You think they're 12 months away or 2 years away, and you wouldn't be surprised if Collingwood get to the finals and get flogged by 12 goals.
Yeah. But they
You
have
know?
that spirit. They have that thing that you can't measure at the moment. Again, they're getting the W's. They're getting it done.
Young side, they've got no pressure on them, no
You
expectation.
know, it's all fun. You see them kicking
Justice.
goals and moors down the other end, loving it.
I saw an
They've got
article
this-
today about Buckley, and
I
they're
don't
saying,
like it.
and they were saying how it made Buckley look like a poor coach, but equally it shows that he had that list
Going in
good
the
shape.
right, yeah,
Clearly
absolutely.
they were in good shape, and they just
Absolutely.
needed
It
that
didn't
change.
happen like that.
All right, that's enough about this Collingwood shit. I'm done. Aaron, get this show in line. I'm over talking about.
Sorry.
that.
Anyway, the D's by 2 goals.
Now I've got a bet for you, Aaron. Aaron, I've got a bet for you.
Oh dear.
Do you think Melbourne will win the grand final? Yes or no?
Oh, here we
Do you
go.
think you can win the premiership?
No, not at the moment.
Bet's off then.
All right.
But
So-
give me a couple of weeks. Let's see. Let's see
Next
how
one.
Well, that narrows what I was going to put up on offer if that's the case. I mean,
Right, we've got Carlton and Brisbane to go, so that's going to set us up to see exactly where we're at. But I tell you what,
all right, thanks.
we should be that filthy that we lost to Collingwood that we cannot let Carlton slip. And the pressure's off. Carlton, they've got nothing to lose. They're
Carlton got a lot of
undermanned.
outs, AC.
They're undermanned. No Crips, mate. That's when you can sneak a win.
Yeah.
So that's the fear I've got, that they do it for Crips for
And-
2 weeks and get into play a final. That's what.
And Carlton needs to win to stay in the 8, so there's a lot on the line.
And
There
Carlton
is.
play Collingwood next.
And the
There
truth is, any side
What a
with
game that'll
Curnow,
be.
if Curnow turns it on, it's game on.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Cripps is out, and
Oh.
you dynamic in the midfield. Who knows what happens?
But Kennedy's out.
Aaron's talking like a 2020 Melbourne supporter again. Bloody
I
ridiculous.
know. I'm having bad nightmares and flashbacks of the old.
You just need to win by 8 goals.
Yeah, we do. I do honestly believe we need to win by 8 to 10
Yeah,
for
you
true
do.
confidence, and we actually need to start setting up a run.
Yeah,
These,
yeah.
I actually do believe we played 4 quarters, but they got us. They just got us at the end, and we just didn't do enough.
All right, it's done now, Aaron. Don't worry. It's the Dockers in the derby, in the
Righto.
derby.
Big derby.
The spilt milk's dried on the concrete by now.
Yep, correct. All righto. Who's going to win this one? Dockers.
Dockers by 100 points.
Dockers. Yeah.
Dockers by 180 points.
Yeah, I think the Dockers would be disappointed if they lost by less than 10 goals, put it that way. So
Yeah.
I think it's a belting. They're ready for
Okay.
they're ready to tell everyone who's back on top in WA. Let's see. All right. Richmond and
Yep.
the Hawks.
Richmond.
Yeah, Richmond just have to win. 15 points.
I'll be at this game in the early one, and I actually think the Hawks are going to get them. There's my tip.
Wow.
Well, if the Hawks get them, they're out. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're done.
Yep. They got to sink the Tigers. I'm worried about the Tigers. Let me put that on record. I'm
Me
worried
too.
about the Tigers. They got something that is
No.
they're going to play. If they make finals, they're going to play like Collingwood's playing now. That's what worries me.
Magic's
So,
gone. The magic's gone for the Tigers. They're done.
question is, here's another one quickly on the Tigers. Is Dusty gone?
What's going on? What's going on with him? What's happening?
I think he'll retire before he goes to another club. That's my response.
Could he change codes?
No.
Oh, Jesus. He's not a golfer.
Could be a boxer. Who
Yeah,
knows?
I can't see him playing cricket.
I think he's off. I think he's off to an interstate club.
Brisbane.
Yeah, I think he's a chance to go to Brisbane or Gold Coast.
Swap for Buddy. He goes to Sydney. Buddy goes to Richmond.
I think the AFL. I think the AFL into him, and they need bums on seats up there.
All right,
That they do.
we'll stir the pot a little bit more. Okay,
Sydney,
Swans-
please. Sydney,
Swans and Collingwood.
please.
Sydney have been good defensively. They're an incredibly tackling pressure team. They've
Yeah,
been massive in the last half a dozen weeks.
Collingwood have got a very good history at the SCG.
Oh, don't say it.
They have got a
You know
very
what?
good record at the SCG.
I'm going to reverse psychology this thing, and I'm going to go for a Collingwood win. I haven't picked Collingwood for a month, and it's giving me the shits. So
don't you just feel dirty? Don't you feel dirty when you mention you picked Collingwood?
yeah. Oh, mate, I feel like I haven't had a shower for a week picking Collingwood, but I'll pick them by 3 points, and then hope they lose.
Sydney Buddy kicks 10.
I'd love to see that. I would love to see that.
And then tell Sydney we're gone in a month's time.
I think Collingwood finished number 2 on the ladder, boys.
They finished second.
Swans.
They beat the Swans?
The Swans will win, and the Swans will finish number 2 on the ladder.
Oof. Geez, they're in good position then if they can do that. I'm tipping the Swannies. Yeah, I reckon 4 goals, roughly.
So how big is Brisbane and Melbourne at the Gabba? Round 23.
Yeah, it's big. It's big. And I think that happened last year.
It comes down to that.
Pretty sure we played them last round up there too. So,
Well, no, it was a cat.
oh, sorry, it was the Cats last round. You're right. So
Yeah,
it must have
it
been
was.
the first week did we play there. Anyway,
Sorry,
that
Joseph.
was the past. That was the past. It's a whole new game now. And then the ultimate dead rubber.
Carna Mighty Bombers.
Come on, Bombers. Get it done. Finish our Sunday. Make a good week of it for next week.
Come on. Do it for Lovey and Cozzy and Cuz.
Yep. Correct.
Yeah, just
Come on.
just give us something to go into the summer months with. Something.
Something.
The Fantasia Cup.
Because at the moment, it's I was going to say Wanganeen, but Fantasia's a lot better. Because at the moment, I'm just fuck footy right now.
Okay, I'm just on that game then. Does Hinkley keep his job?
Yeah, of course he does. Of course he should.
I'm
These
not so
Muppets,
sure.
these Muppets that keep calling for the heads of these coaches that have got some runs on the board. That's fine. You get rid of Hinkley. Clarko, this is a fascination. I find it hilarious. People assume everywhere Clarko's going to end up, he'll end up making it successful. It's not a given. And
Absolutely.
Hinkley's got the support of the players. I mean, if you've got a coach that has the full support of the players, that's far better than being in clubs where year by year you see some clubs where they've stabbed the poor bastard in the back and he's eventually gone. I mean, look at Noble this year. North Melbourne, they had 2 North Melbourne players stick up for him and that was it. So, for me, Hinkley should be safe. If they move Hinkley on,
He's been there a long time.
He has.
it doesn't matter, mate. It took 9 years to win a premiership.
And
I think he's
also
gone.
I think
Yeah.
he's
It took
gone.
9
I
years
also
to win
think
a
it's
premiership.
scary. It's scary when a president comes out and gives us support that they've got the support of the coach. Then he is getting lynched. Now,
I reckon he's a worse president than Cochrane up at the Gold Coast. He's a shit president.
he's untouchable. No one wants to take the job by the sound of it because he's obviously
Because it's Port Adelaide.
he's obviously doing something, tipping him money, or he's doing something to keep that job.
Mate, he's more concerned about the prison bars than he is making sure that Ken Hinkley's got the full support he needs. It's a joke.
Yeah, that's right.
Joke club.
Yep.
Go
So
Bombers.
we'll win by 62 points. There you
I
go.
reckon,
I like it. I like
just off topic, I reckon Leon Cameron. I reckon the Bulldogs have got Leon Cameron in the gun to take over the senior coaching role in about 12 months or 2 years, and he'll be there next year.
What?
Ooh, that's big news. That's a good.
What have I done wrong?
That'd be a great get.
He
Wow.
will.
What have I done wrong then?
Cameron will be at the Bulldogs as an assistant coach next year.
That's
And-
hilarious.
They actually want him as senior coach.
Wow.
And they
That's
want him as
hilarious.
senior coach now.
Yeah, like I said, who'd want to be a coach at that level? Fuck it. It's just a joke.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's just a joke. The other thing is,
You heard it here.
Hey?
You heard it here.
There you
Unless he ends up at Port Adelaide as a senior coach or something. But, yeah.
Back to the kennel. Back to the kennel, mate.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, then I reckon there'll be clubs clamouring for Bevo 100%. Um,
The doggies were talking to Cameron before he left GWS.
yeah.
All right, here's what we'll finish with. Where's a good fit for Bevo right now then? Where's he go? Because he's too good not to coach, honestly, I think.
So you know what? He would be then the perfect fit. If David Kosh pisses off,
Yeah,
he would be the perfect fit for Port Adelaide.
Yep, I agree with that.
Because they need a cultural upgrade. And Bevo turned the Dogs around in the space of 12 months or 2 years, and he's had them competitive ever since. So, you know, for me, if I can have Horse Longmire win one premiership in how many 12 seasons now as well, there's never any talk about John Longmire.
I know.
So, you know, I just think we're so easy to we just find it so easy to go and shoot a coach. When A, it's the players, and B, it's probably the committee as well combined. I mean, the coaches are poor bastards in the middle. So Bevo would be great at Port Adelaide. I think Bevo would be a really good resetter at West Coast. And, you know, if there's talk around the Essendon gig, I'll get him to Essendon if that's the case. Just quickly on the Essendon thing, if Heppel moves to Gold Coast, good on him. Good luck. You've given us 12 years. Went through the shit as a young kid with that the SADA stuff. Captain, brilliant, love it. Tell all of his knockers to go and piss off. I don't care. I reckon he's just been fantastic for our club. So if he goes, he goes. Good luck. All for it.
Absolutely. And I still think that would be the wrong move for Gold Coast, given where they're up to at the moment. You don't want to be topping up with blokes like that right now. They're not right in the window yet. They just need to keep believing in their young kids. So, all right, boys, it's been a great chat tonight. We're going to finish off with a little snippet. Let's see.
Have we got Have we got it?
We have got it. Here we go. Let's get this going.
Gary, get rid.
All right, here we go.
There we go.
Wow.
He's got the looks. He had the looks down.
That was a long time ago.
I couldn't see any images, but I could hear it. He's pretty bloody good, Justin. That's pretty awesome.
He actually sounds like that when he's not trying to sound like Elvis. That's his voice.
He is like really, really, really good. That's a really
2015, that video was.
that's a real likeness. That's a real likeness in Elvis's tone and voice. Yeah, absolutely.
Cozzy, next Tuesday, mate, I've
Yeah.
got a song request.
Go on.
Can you dedicate something to me, mate? You've lost that loving feeling. If you sing that, you dedicate it to me. I'll be there.
Well, yeah, okay. I might have to.
Hunker, Hunker, Burning Love. Hunker, Hunker, Burning Love. What are those two?
Done.
I'll strike the deal, Lovey. If you turn up in a Top Gun suit, right, Dave will do the song. There you go. It's got to be the white.
Dave,
suit.
you got a double XL Top Gun suit.
I don't, mate. I don't. Sorry. Not your size anyway.
Oh wow. I'll see what I can do. AC.
All right, there you go. All right, boys. Nice to catch up. Thanks for joining us, Juzzy. Dave,
Pleasure,
great to have
mate.
you back again.
Thank you,
I
boys.
appreciate the invite. Great to talk to you. I love what you do.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, Juzzy.
I catch you, boys.
See you,
See ya.
legends.
See you, mate.
Cheers.